If I'm being completely honest with you, I genuinely like Bo Nickal and I hope he has a great career. I know he's very arrogant, and when I look at some of the things he said, I'm like, wow, dude, you really brought this upon yourself. Like the time when he said he beat Kamzat, or when his reaction to Adesanya versus Pereira was, wow, what a great kickboxing match, implying that he would ragdoll them. On the bright side, at least he never said that three of him would beat a gorilla. Wait,
Could 100 men take down one gorilla?
Now you saying the humans have no weapons?
No.
No weapons, just hands.
Give me like 3 of me, and I think we'll take them out easy.
One gorilla? It's easy, bro. I'm smart, I'm strong.
I watched the full video and I could tell that all the other fighters were being satirical, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bolt genuinely believes that three of him could beat a gorilla. There's a fine line between cockiness and arrogance. To be cocky, you have to be conceited, and to be conceited, you need to have achievements to be conceited about. To be arrogant is to overestimate your capabilities. Now, if you're looking down upon your division saying, I could beat so and so, I could beat the whole entire top 15 on the same night, and then if you end up actually losing to one of them, that proves that you're arrogant. And if you lose in the fashion that you lost to in your fight against RDR, man, you need to go back to the drawing board, make some changes, and learn to keep quiet. It's one thing to believe in yourself, but don't always feel the need to tell everyone what your aspirations are. Or at least don't do it like Bo, unless you're Ilya Taporia, of course. See, it's one thing to be cocky. You can have this persona all you want, but it works heavily against you when you aren't consistent with your performances. Kobe Covington is a great example of that because he talks all the talk in the press conference, but when he actually fights, he loses. He lost to Leon Edwards. He lost to Joaquin Buckley in a dominant fashion. So he can't really trash talk anymore because his performance doesn't back it up. RDR made Bo Nickal quit in the fetal position. Granted, anyone would have quit after taking so much accumulative damage. At the end of the day, all you need to get clipped is a chin and a nervous system. And last time I checked, every single UFC fighter has that. I mean, look at Dan Hooker versus Edson Barboza. Dan is as tough as they come, but even his body quit on him. So I'm not really surprised that Bo gave up. I'm more worried about the fact that he didn't live up to his expectations and the expectations he constantly reminds us of. About 10 seconds into the fight, I lost all hope in Bo Nickal because he looked completely undersized. Granted, RDR is a pretty big middleweight. The guy used to fight at light heavyweight for crying out loud. But I still think there isn't a middleweight in the top 15 that Bo Nickal is bigger than outside of Robert Whittaker, maybe. But Robert has been able to get away with his size because he relies on elusive striking, going tit for tat with you, relying on his agility, his speed, which works very well being the smaller opponent. But Bo Nickal is a wrestler, and in order to be successful with the wrestling, you have to overpower your opponents. Aside from the difference in skill, you have to physically be strong because when you're going up against someone who's at a similar skill level, you are going to lose. You might even be the better fighter on paper, but just the simple fact that your opponent has 20 pounds on you means he's probably going to win the grappling exchanges. And that's what we saw when Bo Nickal faced RDR. But Bo was still able to control him on the ground, take him down with a judo throw, which was very impressive because I don't think there are a lot of fighters in the middleweight division that can do that to RDR. This man was a double champ in one. Robert Whittaker is another great example of that. He has a lot of wins against big opponents like Jared Cannonier and Paulo Costa, but anytime he faced someone who was significantly bigger than him and had a similar level of skill, he lost. Watch his fights against Dricus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya, especially against Dricus because in the first round, he was piecing up Dricus and managed to take him down and control him a bit. But as soon as Dricus scrambled on top, Rob wasn't able to escape, and Dricus landed a bunch of vicious elbows. And that was simply because of size. Dricus is a girthy middleweight. The guy could probably fight at light heavyweight, but I do think he would probably be undersized because of his height. I do think he might be as heavy as them, but I just don't think it would work very well for him because he's not the tallest middleweight even. Bo Nickal's another great example of why they should be a division between 185 and 170. He's too small for 185 and too big for 170 in the sense that he would probably struggle to make weight. But according to MMHA, Bo Nickal was invited to CJI to compete under 176, and apparently he could make the weight. Do you think someone like Dricus could make 176? Absolutely not. He would look like a twig. So I think Bo Nickal should be able to compete at 170, but it's all up to him. I really hope he has some good guidance because I don't think he's going to make it to championship level if he stays at 185. There are a lot of killers who are just significantly bigger than him. I think Bo Nickal would lose to Anthony Hernandez, Israel Adesanya, Dricus du Plessis. The list goes on. If there's one thing you can't take away from Bo Nickal, it's his accolades in wrestling. Whether we're talking NCAA, the fact that he won the under 23 freestyle world championships. The guy is freaking good, man. And we saw him implement that against RDR. And if he can have that much success against RDR, who's a double champ, what makes you think he won't be able to out wrestle any of the welterweights? There isn't one welterweight that Bo Nickal can't out wrestle. Clean. I know what people are going to say. MMA wrestling isn't Olympic wrestling, but still, this guy had a lot of success even in MMA. The only reason why he didn't look as dominant as we expected him to was the fact that he was fighting in middleweight, where he was smaller than most, if not all of his opponents. In the welterweight division, if he goes up against someone like Leon Edwards, who's a great striker with good takedown defense, but he just doesn't come from a wrestling background. So I think if it goes down to the ground, both should have the advantage. And he's competed at very high level BJJ tournaments against Gordon Ryan, who's one of the greatest no-gi BJJ practitioners of all time. He had a lot of success. I mean, he lost the fight, but he was able to survive at least. So I don't think there's anyone that's going to submit him. When we look at how RDR beat him, he broke him down. He used clinching. He avoided wrestling and using BJJ. Okay, at least he did try to submit Bo at some point. But still, I think even he knew that he probably wasn't going to be able to submit someone like Bo, who survived against Gordon Ryan. How he beat him was a cumulative damage, clinch knees. That's something wrestling just doesn't teach. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. What do you think's next for Bo Nickal? Should he move down to welterweight? Let me know in the comments. Peace out.